Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 22 of Sitting Courtside. Like always, my name is Dante.
It's your boy Jerry D here with Deuce Deuce, man. Episode Deuce Deuce.
Episode Deuce Deuce. Shout out Jimmy Butler, Celtics. It's a player that the Celtics fans don't really like too much. That has
Oh,
hurt
really?
us in the past. Yeah, it's just a few, once or twice. But we're
Oh,
still going to give him. We'll give him his love. We'll give him his flowers, his respect. But me and Jerry are back to talk some NBA basketball. We have some trades to go over. We have some trade targets to go over. We have some teams that have been dominating the league to talk about. We have a bunch of different things. But before we get into that, Jerry, how are you doing this morning? We're filming a little earlier than usual on a different day, so it's a little different than what we are used to. But how are you doing this morning?
I'm just glad to get this thing going. And, obviously, if we miss it, it feels like something in the week is incomplete. So I'm glad that we're
Yep.
able to squeeze it in here and get it done. But yeah, I'm good overall, though. How are you, man?
I'm good. I'm shaking off the cobwebs a little bit, a little tired this morning, but we're here. We're sitting courtside. We're here to talk some basketball. We have a good time. I say we just jump right into it. So,
Yeah.
as I mentioned, we have a big trade to talk about. That's because the Toronto Raptors have finally traded away Pascal Siakam. They sent him to the Indiana Pacers. They trade Pascal Siakam, and this was also a three-team deal. The Pelicans were involved here as well. So overall, the Pacers got Pascal Siakam and a second-round pick from the Pelicans, and then the Raptors, in return, got Bruce Brown, Kira Lewis from the Pelicans, Jordan Nwora, I believe his name is, from the Pacers, and then two first-round picks and a 2026 first-round pick from the Pacers. So it finally happened. About a week or two ago, OG Anunoby got traded, and it was kind of writing on the wall that the Raptors were going to start selling guys. This has kind of been a wait and see thing of what team was going to, eventually, come in and take Pascal off their hands. There was a lot of talk and debate about whether or not he was even going to get traded because there was no guarantee that he would re-sign with whatever team traded for him. So there was, some cold feet there from some teams. But the Pacers ultimately came in, traded for Siakam. And I guess I just want to get your initial reactions. Do you think the Pacers pay too much? Do you think this was a fair trade? Just kind of, what are you thinking?
I think it's pretty fair. It seems like one of those deals where everything was a win-win situation.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, obviously
Pacers
the
are good at
biggest.
that, I guess.
Yeah, it seems Sabonis and Halliburton. Now you get Siakam for pretty much draft capital and
Yeah.
other young assets. So I think they really did a solid job, especially since I think they run the second fastest pace in the NBA. Pascal
Mm-hmm.
Siakam is top 10 in transition points, especially Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal. And now you keep Miles Turner, who's on Pascal Siakam's I want to play with kind of list. So it
Yeah, I saw that. Mm-hmm.
it all makes sense for what they did and for what they gave up, especially since they're trying to push and tip the power scales in the Eastern Conference, which, by the way, it
Yep.
doesn't really phase like a
That's
Boston or
that's what
Milwaukee
I
or
was gonna
Philly.
ask you next. Yeah, what you thought that was gonna do for the rest of the rankings and stuff.
I think now we can go ahead and pencil them in if you haven't already. Like they're etched in stone to be a playoff team. I think they
Yeah,
could
I
avoid
agree.
that
Yes, I
playing
agree.
phase
They're
where
tied for six right now already. So
yeah.
they're already yeah, I
Now I
agree.
could see them ascending upward. I still don't think they're necessarily better than a team like the Knicks, but
Mhm.
maybe that pushes them past a Cleveland, that pushes them past whatever other team might be wedged in the log jam in the middle of the Eastern Conference. But yeah, the fit, it's a hand in glove fit. You get Tyrese Halliburton, a go-to scorer, a guy that averages 20 plus points, and he's the only person on the team with an all NBA selection twice over. So it makes
Very
sense.
true.
You bring a star player over there to the organization, and hey, if you're the GMs and the coaches over there, you're hoping that him being here establishes a more redefined culture that Indiana Pacer basketball is here to stay and we're relevant, and maybe they attract bigger names later. I don't know who wants to play in Indiana, but hey, it could be a fun basketball situation for maybe some random role players that are trying to find a better niche. So shout out
Yeah.
to the Pacers. I think they did their thing there.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I don't think this was like an overpay or anything like that. They had a lot of picks to unload here, so obviously they took advantage of that. And their picks, like they're picking 2026 as a top 4 protected picks. There's things tied to these picks. It's not like they're completely unprotected, all that stuff. Like one of them is the worst of like the Thunder, Jazz, Rocket picks or whatever, and it's not looking like it's going to be anything great. But my only, I guess, concern, and I don't know if the Pacers have the same concerns I am because they're the ones that pulled off this trade, is if Siakam will resign with them this offseason. I think with their willingness to give up those picks, whether or not they're unprotected or not, makes me think that there is a strong belief in that organization that Siakam will resign. And also, like you already mentioned it. I had it in the notes here where Pascal Siakam had Miles Turner ranked as his second dream teammate behind Kevin Durant, which is interesting. I don't know if Miles Turner has ever gotten that praise before. Shout out Miles Turner, no disrespect.
There's a lot of good players in the league, and Miles Turner's number 2.
Hey, that's Siakam's dream list, not mine. Not mine, but hey, respect. But yeah, no, I think this is a great fit because like you have your star point guard, your cornerstone in Tyrese Halliburton, and like you mentioned with the fast break and the pace and stuff like that, I think Pascal fits right in. 29 years old, he's right, in his prime right now, you could say, has experience, has won a championship, and I think Pascal Siakam, and we've seen it like on the championship team, he's a fantastic second option. Over the years in Toronto, he's had to kind of be that number 1 option. Not that it was a failure or anything like that, but we saw what he can be as both the 1 and 2 option. You put him in that system next to Halliburton, he doesn't have to worry about taking the most shots or scoring the more points. I think he can thrive. And I don't think the Pacers will creep up into that upper echelon, but I do think that they can play around with like a 4 seed or something like that in the Eastern Conference this year. They're only 1 game. So right now they're tied for the 6th seed with Miami. They're half a game behind New York and a 1 game behind Cleveland. Only 3 behind Philly, but they're only 1 game behind Cleveland for the 4th seed. I think this trade is going to make them more competitive than they were before. They were a team that I would say teams should not want to face in the first round because this is a team that could take you to 6-7 games and make your life miserable. Now this is a team that I think can go into the playoffs and maybe upset some teams. You don't know. You don't know how this will gel and fit. But I think this trade is what the Pacers need to do to kind of maybe get their foot in that door and can see if they can, how far they can go. Bruce Brown, now he's a Raptor. I think he'll get shipped off in a few weeks. I think the Raptors are just going to, flip the guys and get as much as they can out of it. But yeah, I like this trade for both sides because then you look at, and I have this pulled up, what the Raptors got from OG and Pascal over the last few weeks. It's a pretty good return. They got Quickly, Barrett, Bruce Brown, 3 first-round picks, a second-round pick, Kira Lewis, Jordan, Bruce Brown, all these people, they're doing okay for themselves for getting rid of 2 of their best players. They're starting this rebuild. Not maybe rebuild isn't the right word, but
like a retool.
Retooling the franchise. Yeah, you're a new look franchise. Still competitive, but different. I think both sides. I think both sides ended up getting what they wanted out of this trade.
To kind of go back to what you said about Pascal's fit or what he was in Toronto after the championship run and Kawhi leaves and Kyle Lowry leaves, he did become this number 1 option. Kind of just got thrusted into it because, hey, who else is going to score the ball at a high rate? We need
he had to take the number 1 role. Yeah.
And, I think I even remember him saying a couple years back that he had to find his niche and it's not sure if it was something he was really comfortable with to actually take the keys to the franchise and, drive the boat for a little while. So I think putting him with an established point guard already, at least a younger one that's probably already solidifying himself as a top 5, top 10 point guard to this point, where his game, Pascal's game, should actually take off because that's automatically the best playmaker that he's going to play with so far in his career. And like you mentioned, he's entering his prime. So what better time like the president to get him.
Malcolm Brogdon.
Right. No, but just to get him paired up with a Tyrese Halliburton and a stretch five like Miles Turner,
Yeah.
it really should be maybe for the rest of this half a season, whatever it is, that we see some eye-popping numbers from Pascal. As for the Raptors, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and you got Buddy Hield and Aaron Nesmith in that lineup too. They got some scores. Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know if they keep those guys, though. I don't know if the Pacers are quite done.
I can see them bunching some guys together to make a big upgrade. But for now, they have a steady, solid shooting lineup. I can see them getting rid of Buddy Hield, though. I think he's a guy that's kind of been on the outskirts.
He's been dangled, just like how Pascal and OG has been dangled in trade talks.
One foot has been out the door for like 2 years at this point, yeah.
But as for the Raptors, though, again, like I just said, they definitely been in the trade talks, the trade business, for the last 2 seasons, trying to figure out what compensation to get for OG and Anunoby especially. But now they ship him off and they get Pascal off. And Masai Ujiri's crying at the podium because these guys meant a lot to him. And, that resonates with me. I feel that. You put in some time in the organization. They helped you win your first championship.
I was going to say his first chip. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, shout out to them. I think the scheme that they're putting together right now with the first-year head coach, and then it's kind of his system, right? There's no real identity of the team now. That just allows you to put everything around Scotty Barnes, who is, I guess, your face of the franchise for now. Then you have 2 de facto faces, in Emmanuel Quickley and R.J. Barrett. And, hell, Grady Dick gets to play now that there's some space freed up in the rotation. So, I mean,
they had something. Jacopoto, they have something. They have some sort of form. They have some sort of platform formation. They got something building there. They got something brewing.
Coming. I like it. I mean, for both sides, it gives the Pacers a chance to establish themselves over the next couple years to figure out, can we compete for an NBA title if we get more pieces around Tyrese and whoever else is going to be here? For the Raptors, maybe we target mid-tier draft picks wherever our record ends up, that we could add more potential pieces, just like how we were talking about the Grizzlies last episode, how they could add more pieces through the draft to actually help them compete in their respective conference. So should be fun to watch. Yeah,
should be fun. I think the Pacers will be a team to follow for the rest of the year. It's funny with the Pacers because like on sports betting sites and stuff, it's like a few times this year, the record has been broken for like an over-under in a game, and every time it's been the Pacers. It's like every game I look at the Pacers, it's like their over-under is higher. They just put up so many points.
Yeah.
Adding Siakam to the mix, I think their offense is going to be crazy. Their offense is going to be a very, very hard to stop. Their defense, hopefully, maybe their defense gets a little better with Siakam being thrown in.
Adding Siakam is a two-way player. I mean, it should help.
I don't think it should get worse. We'll put it that way. I don't think it should get worse, but we could be surprised. Also, I wanted to point out before we move on to the next topic, speaking of OG, going back to him, in his first 10 games with the Knicks, he has a plus 173 plus minus, which is the highest for the first 10 games with any team in NBA history. So OG he's performing well there. The Knicks, their record showing as well. I'm pretty sure they only lost once or maybe just once since he's been there, once or twice.
I told you Tom Thibodeau found his Luol Deng.
He found his Luol Deng. Yes,
he played him like 4 straight games of 42 points.
He had like 43 and 44 back-to-back games.
He got him.
He loves him. Tom Thibodeau found the missing piece. He found the missing piece. That's who they were missing. All right. Moving on to the next topic. We'll talk about a team that might not be looking for that missing piece, at least yet. That is the Boston Celtics. And the reason why we are talking about the Boston Celtics is because they are 20-0 at home. 20-0. Pretty sure at the time of this recording, yes. I think they do. Yeah, they actually. Yeah, we should make that known because Denver is in town tonight. So yes. We shall see what happens. So as of 11:09 a.m. January 19th, Eastern Time, the Celtics are undefeated at home. I think going back to last season, they've won the last 27 or 28 straight games. Something along those lines. But right now, we are 41 games into the season. So perfect. Right down the middle, halfway through the season, the Celtics are 32-9. Like I said, 20-0 at home, 12-9 away. The second most wins on the road behind, I believe, Minnesota. Number 2 in offensive rating, number 2 in defensive rating, number 1 in overall net rating. The Celtics just they put it together. They know they have their identity. They figured it out. Here they are. Here they are.
They're everything.
Sitting at the top of the Eastern Conference. Just what people hope this season, like how it was going to start off and all that stuff is. I think this is exactly what we were hoping for, and then some. I guess my question to you, Jerry, I mean, I could go on, obviously, and talk about the Celtics and give my praise and stuff, but what do you, like, halfway through the season for them, 41 games in, what are your overall thoughts on them? Like, is your stance still the same of, like, playoffs come around, them in Milwaukee? Like, what do you think about Boston? Do you impressed? Are you super impressed? What's going through your head?
They're exactly where I thought they would be. Now 20-0 at home, like sure, maybe I can't see that coming.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm. That's a little crazy. That's kind of wild. The record though, I think is like San Antonio Spurs and sometime in the 2010s at 39 or something crazy. So best of luck to y'all getting there. To just imagine only losing 2 home games. That's ridiculous. But keeping it to everything Boston related, it doesn't shock me where they're at or how well they're playing. After they got all these assets in the offseason, Kristaps Porzingis, Drew Holiday, you unloaded Marcus Smart, your heart and soul, but guess what? You got Jason Tatum. Still got Jaylen
Worth
Brown.
It.
Right. Like you got Kristaps, who's probably the perfect player to play alongside JB and JT as a third option. And Drew Holiday could just be whatever the hell he wants. He doesn't have to put up 19 to 25 points a game. He could just come out, play some hard-nosed defense. Derek White comes in, does his thing. It's a good – I love the guard rotation. That's probably my favorite guard rotation in the league, honestly.
Yeah, Pritchard has been decent. And, he's been doing all right in his role too. Yeah.
It's not a shocker to see this team this good, especially in the regular season. I kind of expected them to just burst onto the scene and demolish teams, and that's exactly what they've done. We've seen them dismantle teams and just take them out the game by the end of the third quarter, where the will is just out of the away team that comes into their building. And just being a real championship contender, I think you do need to establish that you don't want to come here to play. Mm-hmm. And they definitely
love play. Like, you want that. We love playing in Boston. Like, we know we're in Boston. We're good. Yes. Like, we got the support. Hey, listen, like with any good team, like you said, like people come to our building. We're resting guys by the third quarter.
Yep.
Last week we were resting guys in the third quarter, but that's because we were playing like shit. You know what I mean? Like it's an any given night type of sport. But I'm not. How can I say this? I'm not surprised by the Celtics' success, like being 32-9 right now. But I will say I didn't think that they would be as good as they are at this point in the season. I definitely thought that there was going to be some bumps, some things to figure out. There's a whole new coaching staff, really, besides Joe Mazzulla. You lost some, big chemistry pieces in the Marcus Smarts and the Robert Williams, who, it sucks that we had to get rid of those 2 guys, but neither of them are playing right now, and that's one of the reasons why we traded them. And then Malcolm Brogdon, of course, who's doing well in Portland, I believe. I didn't think it would take – I thought it would take a little bit longer for them to click and figure it out. But man, am I happy that they figured it out early, because it's just like, I'm a guy that I watch every game, of course, and stuff like that. But it's like, now I watch these games, like knowing like, damn, like I'm watching, this is probably the best team that I've probably been able to like watch since I've truly got into basketball. No, I'm not like the 08 Celtics and stuff like that as like obviously like legendary, but I'm saying like, that's when I started watching basketball. I was like 2006, 2007. But like now that I'm older and like as the years have gone by and I've seen the Isaiah teams, the Kyrie teams, the teams of the last few years, it's like now we have probably the most complete team that we've had since that 08 team. And it's like, I know that this team, they can do it. They can really fucking do it. It's just now that makes me nervous, is that they can do it, because for me, these next 41 games don't mean anything to me. I just want them to stay healthy. I want them to just keep playing the way that they are. Like, obviously, chemistry doesn't become unraveled, whatever.
Yeah.
Keep on this pace and then get ready for the playoffs. I've seen everything I've had to see. Just get to the playoffs. I just want to get to the Milwaukee matchup. I just want to get to that point.
Hey, you mentioned just that you were shocked how quickly things came together.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that it's not even really that much of a shocker, primarily just because it's not like there was a bunch of new all-stars. It wasn't like the Clippers.
Right. Yeah, it's not like they just redid their entire roster and stuff.
It wasn't
I get it.
A James Harden or trying to figure out a Russell Westbrook. It wasn't KD booking Beal. It wasn't anything that was too
nothing super complicated. Right, right.
Like Drew Holiday, too, is already this established veteran who's played with Giannis, AD, like two of the game's most dominant bigs.
No ego, nothing like that.
No. Like, you come in, and same thing for Kristaps, who played with Luka all those years, who admitted on JJ Redick's podcast, Old Men of the Three, there's your free plug-in, JJ, that, I was immature how he acted in that Dallas situation, where he knew that Luka was the guy, but he still thought he had plenty to give and that he should have been more featured in the offense. Albeit he is right about his claims to that certain situation.
Yep.
He knows that coming into this situation, hey, I'm a third option. Like, maybe even some nights, maybe even the fourth. There are nights I can be the number one if they need me to get going, if I'm really just hot from deep or I got a mismatch or whatever. I'm 7'3". I can score whenever I want to. But he knows it's the Tatum and Brown show.
Yeah.
So, and he just, laid right in.
And he, sometimes, obviously, everyone wants to be the number one option. Everyone wants to take the most shots, score the more points, take the last shot, whatever. But I'll tell you what, when you get to play alongside guys like Jason and Jalen, and you can be the third option and not have to really worry too much about being doubled or nothing like that. I mean, if you're good enough, you take advantage of it, and he is. So he definitely is. And also, one thing too. This was I think it was last week. I forget which game it was after, but it was post game, and Kristaps, I believe, said that made a comment that said Drew Holiday sacrificed the most out of everyone. It was talking about the sacrifices the stars made, whatever, and he was just it's I appreciate that. Am I making a sacrifice? Yeah, he goes, we all are. Jason and Jalen, those two guys can average 30 a night, but they understand that they don't have to do that. Kristaps could be a number one somewhere, and he could be putting up his numbers, but on nights he's a third or fourth option. Derek White is going crazy. He goes, me, I'm older and stuff like that. I'm not putting up as many points as I was in years past or whatever. But, what I was asked to do in my previous locations is different than what I'm being asked now. Here, he is a fourth, fifth option. He doesn't need to put up a crazy amount of shots. His role is to be the vet, the leader, the defensive anchor. In Milwaukee, he was, asked to score more and be more part of their offense and stuff like that. So he's yeah, I'm sacrificing, but I'm not necessarily I'm just doing what I'm told. And that's fine. So I think it's really cool just seeing how the players are mature enough to accept these not even lesser roles. It's just sacrificing Tatum said, I won the individual awards. I've made the all-stars and stuff. I just want a ring. It's these guys just want to put it together and win, which is what I think is what you need, the attitude that you need. But again, now for me, we just got to get to April and May, and then we'll see what happens.
Oh, it's going to be a party, man. I think you got a good big three coming out the East right now between y'all, Milwaukee, and Philly. And then the fourth team, I think that's really, really dangerous that could creep up. Well, two teams is Miami and New York, which
and then we just spent 15 minutes talking about Indiana.
But Indiana for me just still, yes, they're going to get better. But when I'm thinking about legitimate conference finals matchups, I have Indiana on the outside looking in as to where New York, Miami, Philly, Boston, Milwaukee are five teams could make it. And obviously only two get to go. So it's going to be crazy to see how the seeding
playoffs are going to be fun this year. Not even just in the East, but in the West. There's going to be a lot of good matchups this year. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and we're looking forward to it. Speaking of bloodbath, there might be one in LA coming soon. Because LeBron James might be on his way out of LA. Now there's not There's really not much to go off of here. I'm going off of a Brian Windhorst quote here. He says, I don't know what's going to happen with LeBron in 2025. I feel like LeBron is going to play next year, but I don't know if it's going to be for the Lakers. Jerry, as a LA fan, Lakers fan, what do you make of this? Is there something you know that we don't? Is trouble brewing in LA? What's going on here?
I mean, it's really our season. Our season is going exactly how it started last year before we moved on from Russell
It's
Westbrook.
same record and everything.
Same exact record.
Yeah.
19-21 situation. Oh, are they a playoff team? Oh, are they going to be able to get LeBron his 5th championship? Can they really keep playing LeBron this many minutes? How come AD isn't stepping up and yada, yada, yada? Like, in terms of him actually leaving via free agency, I think that all depends on if Bronny decides to actually come out into the draft.
Sure.
That's he decides to do.
Hey, apparently some teams have him on their draft boards.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's personally, as a Laker fan, with bias included, it's not really that surprising because I think it's something that we all expected. As soon as he said, I really do want to play with my son, that way,
he kind of was giving you guys a heads up. He didn't want it to be a harsh departure if that was the case. Yeah.
And you know what? If that is the case, if there's anybody that has this type of speculation, it would be Brian Windhorst, who's covered LeBron. That's what made Brian Windhorst relevant, with all due respect. He followed LeBron since he was in high school.
Yeah.
Followed him around.
Hey, and look where he is now. It worked.
He's one of the faces of ESPN. Like he does a great job. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm indifferent. Of course I'd be upset. I mean, it's arguably the greatest player to ever lace him up, right? Yeah. And without LeBron, our championship hopes fly out the window. So
now, do you think? So I guess I'll ask this question first. If he were to leave, is this going to be like he's going to go where Bronny goes, or are there teams in mind that you think that he has like a list of teams that he could go to, like championship contending team?
100%. Yeah, 100%. Like he even admitted to it before this whole "I want to play with my son" thing came out that he'd rather finish his career in LA. Yeah. I mean, he has a home out there. He has several business ventures that are out there. Yeah. Obviously, like not too far away from Nike's headquarters out there in Oregon. Everything's out west for him. I can't really see him going anywhere else unless Bronny is a part of the organization. Sure. Now, where's that going to be? Only God knows. Only time will tell as soon as we start getting a little closer to the draft, where the picks are going to land, who's going to have what. So, I mean, it should be interesting to see, but he's not going anywhere unless Bronny's for sure is coming out and he's getting drafted by the Hawks. Then you're going to see LeBron, then James gang move over to Atlanta.
Yep. Yeah. I'm looking at an article now. I'm trying to see Shams says Barney James on the draft boards of multiple teams and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm trying to see if I can find where he's like ranked in the mock drafts. I can't.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be ranked high, but I can.
And the thing is though, I think the team that does pick him up, hopefully they're not just picking, we get LeBron too, because you're only going to have LeBron for like a year and some change.
A year, right, yeah. I mean, I definitely can see a team doing that. I can see a team reaching for Bronny just for the sake of that. I definitely can.
It's got to be all
It might come down to who does it first. It might come down to who's just going to be the team that rips the Band-Aid off and goes, fuck it, let's see what we can do.
And the thing is, though, like, Bronny
that sucks for Bronny. That sucks for Bronny. I feel that's like I'd feel shitty if I was him. Like, people only going to draft me because my dad might come with me or something like that.
But he does. I think there is potential for him to be a really good NBA player.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
He's a good defender. Yeah. Like, I like Bronny's game. I think it's going to.
He's got the best coach at home. He's got the best coach. So
this is exactly the situation Michael Jordan only wished he was in. That's one thing that LeBron definitely has over MJ. His sons are already better at basketball than what his were.
Yeah. Well, Michael Jordan's sons are dating his teammates' ex-wives. So, but hey, that's not my business. That's not Michael Jordan will be his best man.
Hey, all I know is Michael Jordan couldn't punch his way out of a wet paper bag with that situation. There's nothing he can do about that.
Just
got to
gotta
leave him
sit
in there.
back. Just gotta sit back and let his son do his thing. Anyways, enough about the kids. Michael Jordan's kids. We can
Yes.
talk about LeBron.
I mean,
I think,
it's simple. I think it's simple. It's very
yeah,
simple.
yeah. I do think that there will be teams that will reach on Bronny for the sake of getting LeBron. I don't think that's the right way of going about things, but I definitely think that there will be some shenanigans come draft time. That's for sure.
You know what? If I'm Oklahoma City, reach for the stars, draft Bronny at whatever one of those abundance of picks you have, bring LeBron James into town, and boom, you have one great year to win an NBA championship.
Jerry, that may have been one of the best ideas we ever come up with on the show. Yeah, why wouldn't a team like the Thunder risk one of their picks to bring in LeBron for 1 year?
Hey, worst case scenario,
That's
Bronny
perfect.
doesn't pan out. But if he
And if he
does,
does, but also not for nothing, you get 1 year LeBron like mentoring those younger players and stuff like that. That I feel like that's like worth a first round pick on its own. The value of that. Jerry, you might be onto something here. Hey, if we start hearing tweets and reports that the Thunder are looking to draft Bronny in hopes of getting LeBron, just remember who you heard it from first, Jerry.
you're on sitting courtside, baby. We're a duo. We're a team. We do this. Woj who? Shams
Whoa,
who?
who? Shams who? Nah, sitting courtside. Jerry and Dante. So the last topic we have here before we sign off, we have the trade deadline approaching. It's about 3 weeks away. And obviously we've seen some trades go through. The Knicks Raptors, the Raptors Pacers. The Raptors are very active right now in trade talks. Yeah. But there are a lot of other teams, a lot of teams that are looking to make moves, that are looking to buy players, sell players, make upgrades, this and that, make big moves, small moves, all that stuff. And there are a lot of players that have been thrown around in trade talks. Jerry, I'm just going to give a list of some of the guys that I've seen mentioned in trade rumors the last few days. And I just kind of want to go over these guys and see who you think is most likely to be traded. All that stuff. You think that they will get traded, not all that. So, all right. So we have Zach LaVine, DeJounte Murray, Andrew Wiggins, Terry Rozier, Malcolm Brogdon, Colin Sexton, Lonzo Ball, who actually I've heard his contract might get tied into some trades if that could be a possibility. Trae Young, I don't think that that's going to happen this deadline, but there have been rumblings that Trae Young could be moved at some point. Bojan Bogdanovic, Bruce Brown, Quentin Grimes, Jeremy Grant, Derek Lively, the rookie in Dallas, has been getting some calls about him, and then Kyle Lowry. Also, I have on here Duncan Robinson, but as of this recording, unfortunately for all the teams out there, Duncan Robinson is untouchable. The Heat refused to trade him, even though they wouldn't play him last year in the playoffs because he can't play defense. But untouchable. So sorry, guys, can't trade for him.
I'm not buying it, but yeah,
It's got. They're just trying to jack up the prices. Like, Duncan Robinson, no, we can't trade him, but for a first, maybe. Come on, Jerry. Come on, it's Duncan Robinson for Donovan Mitchell. Make it happen. All right. So out of all these players, that I mentioned, who do you think is most likely to get moved? Are there guys that I mentioned that you're like, no way these guys are getting traded? Or, what do you... I think there's going to be a whole lot of movement over the next few weeks. I think there are a lot of teams that are looking to make these smaller moves, like to get to that next level, maybe like a Pacers type of thing where they need that one, like get that one piece to make that extra push. Right. Bench pieces, whatever, or just franchises looking to restart, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
what do you think?
It's all these names are, I think they all have a solid shot. Maybe outside of Derek Lively. That's the one name. It's like Dallas just got him.
So that's another one. I should have mentioned when I said his name. They've been taking calls, but they have been rejecting all of them. So, yeah.
I think my mind jumps. I think the hottest name on this list, it automatically jumps to the biggest name probably in terms of offensive production in Zach LaVine, since that is a 25 to 30 point scorer when he's healthy and able to play. But I'm gonna go homegrown here. I'm gonna stay with Charlotte's very own Terry Rozier. I
Mm-hmm.
think that is a very underrated piece that somebody can
He's been
have on their
playing very
team.
well. He played very well when LaMelo was
Yeah,
out.
to
Mm-hmm.
around 25 points a game, 8 assists. Like he was pretty much putting up what LaMelo was kind of averaging, minus the rebounds. So I mean, it's Terry Rozier could be a
Reasonable,
good deal.
reasonable contract too. I think it's
Yeah,
like 20, 25 a year,
and it's
tradable.
only for like another year or two. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I think that's somewhere like Miami, like where Kyle Lowry maybe gets swapped down to a 3-team deal, where you see Terry land in Miami and
Kyle
Kyle.
Lowry for Terry Rozier, I'd throw up.
Hey, but you know what? What is
Ugh.
Charlotte really playing for? We're playing for
No, I
assets
know.
at
Well, if
this.
they get a pick, if you get Kyle Lowry in a first round pick, then yeah, that
Exactly.
makes sense. Yeah,
We're
for
playing for
sure.
draft assets. That
Mm-hmm.
is what Charlotte's in the market for, and I think everybody probably knows that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I hate to
I
admit it,
mean,
covering the
yeah.
team, we're not going to make the postseason. I think everybody probably knows that. So it's more so about getting young pieces or getting
Mm-hmm.
draft capital to make it worth our while. So I think Terry Rozier might be one of the first names
The
moved. There's
odd
already
man
rumblings
out.
going
Yeah.
on. Him and Gordon Hayward both are
Yeah.
hotter
Gordon
names
Hayward.
on the market
Ah,
right
that
now.
would make me sick to my stomach if I saw Terry Rozier in a Heat jersey. Oh, scary Terry. It's
Hey,
been we've
he
come
worked.
so far. We've
He
come
works
so
out in
far.
Miami in the
I
offseason.
know.
He
I
already
know.
has
Who
a
wouldn't
home.
want to go? I mean, who fuck wouldn't want to go to Miami? You don't have to pay tax or anything like that. You're in the warm weather. You're on the
Mhm.
it's stupid. And here I am up stuck in the fucking snow in New England. It's fucking
What about
ridiculous.
for you though? At all these names that you listed out, just what are you thinking?
I I mean, right now it seems like Levine and DeJounte Murray. There's just so much like
Definitely.
just smoke around them going. It seems like it's inevitable. More so like where it's going to happen. And we've talked about Levine. It's the same for DeJounte Murray. I
Yeah.
think he's going to get traded. It's just what team's going to trade for him. I saw the Knicks might put together a package. The Spurs might go after him.
The
Um,
Lakers.
the Lakers. Yeah, I mean, I've seen a handful of teams that might be interested in bringing him in, and I think that he's a guy that could help out. A lot of teams too. It's just going to come down to what Atlanta wants, who gives them the best return. But I do, I also believe that like guys like Malcolm Brogdon,
Yeah,
Bogdanovich,
of course.
Bruce Brown, I think those guys are. It's kind of like an easy like, yeah, a team's going to come in and trade a first or two for those guys.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen at the deadline, but I do think that this is something that we will be talking about in the future. I do think Trae Young, I think at some point he might get put on the trade block. I can definitely see something happening. Maybe it's going to come down to him being unhappy or whatever. I can see that him being a star that becomes available in the next few months.
Yeah.
Not right now, because Atlanta. Where's Atlanta? They're the 10th seed, so they're in the play-in right now. It's not like they're just like bottom of the barrel, but I think the way that roster is looking, you got rid of the John Collins, you got DeJounte Murray's out the door. They have a lot of young guys that they're working with now. I know Trae Young is not old, but I can see them, maybe shipping them off for a lot of draft capital or some young guys and doing that at some point. But I do think that is a name that we'll have to keep an eye on at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah,
The Spurs rumors for him are real. I mean, after especially on his
dude,
podcast.
I'll be honest with you. I'm not the biggest Trae Young guy in the world. Like, a great offensive player and stuff like that. But like, I have my whatever with him.
Yeah.
Him and Wembanyama on the same team, bro. That would be fucking just dirty.
He even mentioned on his podcast that Wemby has the potential to be the greatest of all time. So that's a quick little plug-in of like, I definitely wouldn't mind going to San Antonio to play with this dude. I mean,
think
hey,
there's a few. I wouldn't shock me if there were a handful of players in the NBA that have the same mindset. Yeah,
like love him or hate him, Trae Young does make his teammates better. He's one of
he
the best
does.
offensive
Yes,
players
for
in the
sure.
league.
Mm-hmm.
Like 30 and 10. He's right up there with Halliburton in terms of like,
Yeah.
multiple 10 plus assist games. So I mean, Trae Young is definitely a superstar talent in this league. He's just short. And he's my height.
He's got a lollipop stuck in your hair, the haircut.
I'm not talking about that bird's nest today.
The bird's nest. Poor Trae Young. Poor Trae. Yeah, but that's is something that I think that we will be talking more about in the future. But off of this list, I think Zach LaVine, DeJounte Murray, easiest options. It would be interesting because I've seen the Knicks might make a trade, put like a package of like Grimes, Fournier, some picks, whatever, and trying to get DeJounte. That would be an interesting fit. I don't know if that would work. I don't know if
I
that
don't like
is a
that.
guy that they should go after.
I
When
don't
I
like
saw that they were in the mix, I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if that's the right fit, but I can definitely see a team. Maybe not the Lakers. What was the other team that I mentioned that had their eyes on him? Uh, why can't I think of it? What was the team that I said? What team was it? I can't think of it.
I
What?
don't know. I like kind of.
I can't. I blanked on that one. But yeah, DeJounte Murray, he'll get moved to come down to the right package.
Before we do like move on here, names that I am interested to see if they just suddenly pop up, especially because of where the disarray of the franchise is just getting smacked up all along the West Coast. The Golden State Warriors. It's a conversation that I think needs to happen of their big three actually splitting. I know they said we're committed to the core, but Wiggins is on this list, and that was their second best player in their 2022 run.
And now he's just their worst player.
It's like, yo, get the hell out of here. You know what? Take Kuminga. You know what? Take Draymond. Take Clay. I am interested to see if they actually make a deal because Pascal was one of their names on their radar.
Right.
Well, you let him walk.
Gone. Yep.
So I'm very intrigued.
Yeah, I've seen Nikola Vucevic. I saw that he's a name. Some they go after. Apparently, they might look at some bigs. Yeah, dude. I also saw someone said that they should trade Chris Paul for Ben Simmons. They were like, neither team wins this trade, but neither team loses it either. It's just like the Warriors get more size and the Nets get like a veteran point guard or whatever. They're like, it doesn't like help either team, but it doesn't make them worse either. And I was just, we're at the point right now where those are the moves that the Warriors have to make. Like, come on.
The Warriors win the trade if Ben Simmons actually gets healthy and pans.
That's true. Hey, me and you have talked about Ben Simmons plenty of times. Everyone knows how we feel about Ben. But yeah, I think the Warriors are definitely a team that should make moves because they're going nowhere. And guys could leave this offseason. And the dynasty's over. As we said last week, the title of last week's video, the dynasty is over. But all right, that's all we got for topics today, Jerry. Do you have anything else you want to throw in really quick before we sign off? I'm going to double check, make sure nothing came out in the time of this recording. We didn't miss anything.
No, not a bad idea. But while you're doing that, yeah, of course, you know, I love my parting shots. I just want to say that it is fantastic to watch, to be an NFL fan, to be watching what we've been watching over the past couple weekends, and just to highlight that there's multiple black quarterbacks that are running the show for their respective franchises. C.J. Stroud, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Jordan Love.
Yeah.
Who beat the Dallas Cowboys.
Jordan Love. Some love in Green Bay. There's some love in Green Bay.
There's a lot of love. There's love not only in Green Bay, there's love in Charlotte, North Carolina, man. I am proud of that guy. So, just want to shout out the NFL playoffs, man. Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens is still my pick to win the Super Bowl playing the 49ers.
I'm with you on that one. I'm with you with the Ravens. Yep.
We're going to stay in that boat. I feel sorry for the Texans, man. You had a good run. You surprised some people. You won a playoff game. But it's time to go home, buddy. Love you, CJ. Stay in Texas.
CJ is the future. CJ is the future. Absolutely. Playoffs. We had a great wild card weekend already.
Yes.
I was talking about this. The playoffs this year, I love this year football because so many unexpected teams made it and stuff like that. We've seen a lot of like the rookies and stuff. Jordan Loves, the CJs. It's really nice seeing new faces and also just seeing the league is in good hands with these young quarterbacks and teams and stuff. Because Jordan Love and CJ put on shows. Yeah. Also, so hyped I traded for Jordan Love and Dynasty this past year because that is definitely my franchise QB moving forward. For sure.
Shout out to the Lions too, man. Detroit.
Shout out to the Lions.
What up, though?
They're not my pick to win it, but man, they are my favorite team, bro. I love the Lions. I loved it. I never met the man. I don't know if I ever will, but I'd run through a brick wall for Dan Campbell.
Hell yeah.
And also a shout out to Bill Belichick. 24 years in New England. It ran its course. It's going to happen eventually. Hopefully you find success wherever that is. Atlanta is looking good right now. That looks to be like where he's going to go. Wish you nothing but the best. Thanks for 6 rings. But, now it's Gerard Mayo time, baby.
Yes,
Now
sir.
it's Gerard Mayo. I love that guy. I'm so happy that he's the head coach. I'm happy they kept it in organization. Give him his flowers, his chance to shine. So looking forward to, because it can't be much worse. So I'm looking forward to what the Patriots do this offseason and this season. But all right, that's it for football. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to like, subscribe, all of that stuff. Check us out on our other platforms, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Follow us on our personal socials is on the screen here, as you can see. Make sure to watch the other clips on this channel, the other long form bits from this podcast episode, and also check out our shorts for gamified videos. Do not worry, we still do those. They are just not in the podcast full video. And we will be back here next week for episode 23 of Sitting Courtside. So make sure to, like I said, follow along, subscribe, all that stuff, put on the notification bell. So when next week's episode comes out, you'll get to watch it right away. So until next week, peace out.